God bless you mechanics. So you regular subscribers know that last week I didn't get a video put out. Got kind of busy doing a bunch of stuff around the place. One of the reasons we're able to afford to do some of the stuff we do is a lot of the vehicle maintenance, repairs and such, I do myself. Not that I like to do it, but holy cow, go check the cost of doing some of these repairs. Now, like transmissions, engines, overhauls, that kind of stuff, no, I don't do any of that. When I was younger, I attempted it and had some success doing it. You know, brakes, like what I'm going to do today, I'm going to change a pinion seal. Stuff like that I don't mind taking on. And so I'll do that quite often, save us some money. Like on this little Nissan Armada that we've got, the shop wanted like $500, between $350 and $500, depending on which shop you talk to. The $350 guys weren't even sure they could do it. And I priced this part, this seal, even the Nissan replacement part was $60. So I bought the parts. I didn't have a 30mm deep socket, so I bought that. The seal, I think I've got like $70, maybe $75 into this project. Fingers crossed, I'll get it done with no problems. So, anyway, later in the video I'll show you what we did last weekend. It was quite a lot of fun, you know, small town fun. One of the things that I've been asked several times, and people have caught it in some of the videos, you'll see something on my side in some of the videos. And yeah, it's one of those GUNs, guns, that YouTube's not real thrilled about. And I've been asked, well, why do you carry a gun? What's the gun for? Well, let me tell you. So before we jump into the explanation, here's the new seal that I'm going to put in today. Go ahead and change the oil while I'm underneath there, and there's some gear oil, a pump to get the fluid back up in that differential, and the 30mm cheapo deep socket that I got off of Amazon. Now, our county that we live in here is about a little over 3,000 square miles in size. It's there's one of the states that it's equivalent in size to. I can't remember if it's Delaware or what, but anyway, in that 3,000 square miles, we have a population of only 15,000 people, roughly. And most of that is centered in the main town of about 10,000 people. The rest, and that town is, you know, probably 2.5, 3 miles across. So it's a small town. So the rest of the county, you got about 5,000 people scattered out through the countryside through 3,000 square miles. What does that mean? That means that at any one given time, the likelihood of there being a police officer anywhere close to you is very slim indeed. So, even out here at our house, if we need a cop to come out, we're looking at minimum a 30-minute response time. And that's minimum. A lot of times at any given time there's only 2 cops available in the whole county. Maybe 1 state trooper and 1 deputy. And, you know, they may be clear on the other side of the county. So you're talking, and this is good road coming out here. I mean, it could take them an hour to show up out here. So, and if you're out in the woods or in some of these remote areas, well, just loosening up the bolts on this drive shaft. I'm about ready to put this up on jack stand so I can turn this and get to these upper ones. This is going to be a pain. Holy cow. Help if I went the right way. You guys didn't see that. Last weekend, I changed the struts and the brakes on this rig. I kind of saved up a bunch at once, and while I was changing that strut, I noticed I had oil down here and found out it was coming from this seal right here. So back to our little county here. Being that it takes so long to get a police officer out here, and you need one, if your life's in danger, you're not going to be able to depend on a cop showing up. And I would contend that that's true anywhere you live. Unless you live in a police station, your safety's up to you. Your personal safety, things can happen so quick. You know, a 30-minute response time is really no better than a 4-minute response time when you consider what can happen in 4 minutes. Boy, is that going to be a bear to get to. Guess I should have waited for this to cool off just a little bit more. Drove to town and come back, and I thought this would be cooled off after 30-40 minutes, but still pretty warm. So get this off of here. There we go. So I gotta mark all this so it all goes back in exactly how it came out. Kind of looks like somebody may have marked this before. This may have been off once before. So as you can tell, there's a mark right there and one on this nut also. And those will line back up when I'm done. And I'm counting the threads here that's left here. There's 1, 2, 2.5 threads sticking out. So I don't want to run this down to where there's only one thread and those line up. You want to go right back to the way it was, and you don't want any more than that either. So that's what we'll do. It came off easier than I thought it was going to. I've heard some of these can be a real bear to get off. Yep, forgot to drain the oil first. There's a reason I'm not a mechanic. So while that's draining, let me go into some more reasoning. I worked a number of years ago. I worked for a police agency for about 9 years, not as a sworn officer, as a radio tech. But during that time, I got to spend a lot of times with cops, go on some ride-alongs, watch a lot of the videos of stuff that happened to them. And during that time, I found out a few things. One, people are extremely unpredictable. Two, things can go from benign to out of control in a matter of seconds. And the third thing is, as much as we like to pretend everybody's nice and means us well, there's a lot of bad people in the world. Not the majority, but there's a lot of them running around out there. So due to all that, my theory is, if something can change so quickly, go from a casual encounter to deadly force in the matter of seconds, even to a minute to 5-minute response time is not going to help you. You are your own protection. And 30 minutes to hours response time in an area like this, especially if you're out in the mountains, these remote areas, you can call for help all you want. One, they got to find you. Two, it's going to be a while before they do. So, that's the reason you'll see me with a firearm on my side in some of the videos. I don't make it a prominent point, and I try not to, but it's going to sneak in there every once in a while. And no, I'm not living life in fear. I'm realistic. There's things out there that'll hurt you. There's cougars. Unfortunately now there's wolves in our area, and of course the occasional bear we run into. All those things can hurt you too. Not to mention the two-legged critters out there that want to do you harm. I've got a couple, I guess 3 times, twice to me, once to my loved one, that the mere presence of a firearm de-escalated a situation that could have turned really, really bad. In fact, 2 of them were going south rather quickly. They never left their holster. Just the presence of them stopped them. One of these days, maybe I'll share those stories. Now, I got to get this old seal out. I've never had really great luck getting these things out. I usually fight them and fight them. I know there's some better ways to do it than the way I do it, I'm sure. I usually wind up folding an edge end and then pulling the thing out. It's one thing I've had problems with the past is I thought I was on the seal trying to peel it out, and I was actually not, and I wound up dinging the case up. So now I like to take a good gander at these things and figure out exactly where the outside of that seal is, so I'm not destroying the case if I have to fold that thing in. There we go. If anybody's got a better idea on how to do this, let me know. Because like I said, I've always fought these things trying to get them out. Oh, I think we're getting somewhere. There we go. Now, let's hope the new one is the right one. Otherwise, yeah, we're in trouble. I think some yahoo did put one in. And they put RTV sealant around it. Talk about a pain to get out of there. Well, I got the RTV out of there for the most part. I think that's got it. Okay, getting close. Okay, just needs to go about a 1/4 of an inch. Well, I got that done. The seal probably took around an hour. You know, changing the oil, I probably had like 2 hours into that. And instead of paying, you know, they want, I don't know, for an oil change, was it $30 now or so? Something like that. And that darn seal, locally, I couldn't find anybody that really even wanted to do it. And the guy that did know how to do it, I mean, he wanted like $400 or $500 for that project. And I just couldn't see paying that, so I did it myself. It's kind of one of those toss-ups that you kind of got to decide what you're going to do. You're going to take that kind of work on yourself or pay somebody to do it. You know, it's okay either way if you don't feel comfortable doing it or don't want to. You know, I personally, a lot of times, don't feel like doing it, don't want to do it. But I also want to go play some, and you need moolah for that, so I do it myself. And to wrap up the whole firearms thing, you know, and I get it, some of you guys may not like firearms, and that's cool. But I say again that my experience has been, you're responsible for your own safety. So if you don't like guns, go take some hand-to-hand stuff, some personal defense, a knife, whatever. Again, your personal safety is up to you. Don't depend on anybody else. And that's all I'm going to say about the gun thing. So to wrap this thing up, I'm going to show you what we did last weekend. Oh, by the way, we're talking about the local stuff in our small community. What you're about to see is, you know, typical small community, a demo derby. The kids had a blast at it. We've been going to it for quite a few years now. But last week we set several records. One was we passed 100 degrees for 3 days in a row. First time that's ever happened. You know, sometimes in this area we'll hit 100 degrees once or twice a year. But we hit it 3 days in a row, which set a record. And 2 of those days were all-time records. One was 108 degrees, and as I understand, the next day was 109 degrees. So set some records. And then the day right after that, when the demo derby took place, that evening it cooled down into the mid-60s. And we actually kind of felt kind of cold up there in the stands. The kids were kind of shivering towards the end of this thing. As always, thanks for watching the videos, taking the time to do it. Subscribing, hitting the bell, gives you a notification when we get a new video out. And hitting the thumbs up once in a while. And we'll see you guys on the next video. You say you want more mechanic videos? Too bad. I don't like them. I don't like mechanicking.